Welcome to It's a Small World, a conversational podcast where we explore life, the universe, and everything in between. We talk about beliefs, mindset, coincidence, synchronicity, the paranormal, and ideas that sit just outside the mainstream. Not to convince, but to consider. My name's Tanya.
And I'm Mitch.
So this week we're talking about the law of attraction. If you're not familiar with it, when we talk about the law of attraction, we're not talking about trying to make someone find you attractive. The law of attraction is the belief that what you focus on through your thoughts, emotions, and expectations plays a role in shaping what you experience in your life, which is why you might hear people referring to it as manifesting.
Uh-huh.
I mean, recently in the news, we had good old Katie Price saying that she had manifested her latest husband. I mean, that's a whole other story together, isn't it? But yeah, she said she'd manifested a Richard Gere type. So
Is this the one that she met like 24 hours later she got married to it?
that's the one.
That's the one.
Yeah. So yeah, I think there's more
I
to
hope
that,
that
isn't there? But that perhaps gives it kind of a bit of a bad name in the mainstream press. But I think it's one of those topics that people either swear by or completely dismiss, isn't it?
That I totally agree with. I know when I first came across it, you're talking like the 90s and then 2000s, and you just thought it was an American yeehaw, think rich, grow rich, big, brash, loud Americans doing their thing. And he turned your stomach a little bit because obviously as British, a little bit more reserved, aren't we?
Yeah.
We find it quite repulsive. How dare you think of having money for yourself? And then obviously during lockdown, I think people were looking at on the computers a bit more and thought, oh, what's this? I mean, I know it's been going on since the 19th century, of the whole idea about the law of attraction, whatever you want to call it at that point, movement of thought. But it just seemed to go absolutely massive, didn't it? Just before lockdown, around town.
Yeah. I mean, we're not here to sort of convince anyone. We're just kind of looking into why it resonates with people, and sometimes why it doesn't. So I think the first time I got into law of attraction was through Ella Ringrose. She sort of spoke about it in a really accessible way at the time, but she's kind of moved on to more spiritual territory now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and who's this lady? I haven't come across her.
Ella Ringrose. Have a look at her. She's an Irish, what would I call her? Podcaster, influencer.
Right.
So it kind of felt like a gateway, not sort of into magic, I would say, but into a sort of different awareness. Because a lot of people sort of think, oh, magic, we're going to magic this into my life, or I think that's where it goes wrong. But you actually did. We were just talking about lockdown, weren't we? You actually did a law of attraction course. Was that during lockdown?
Yes, it was. I came across a guy called Aaron Doughty, a YouTuber during lockdown, and another guy called Jake Ducey. And every day during lockdown, I'd watch the videos. I got aside around 11 o'clock, cup of coffee, and I go and have coffee break with either Aaron or Jake. And I got into it. And it was quite interesting. And it really piqued my interest. And I realised it wasn't just the American brash, yeehaw, let's think money, grow rich. It was more than that. And then some of them started doing a few workshops, and then that took me to the next level. So I actually decided, whilst I got time in my hands, I went and did a coaching course, actually, in Law of Attraction, or LOA, as we like to refer to it.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, as we were saying, it's interesting how people got into it at that time, because it kind of, we felt like the world was out of control, didn't we? It was so surreal that I think people were turning to other things, as you say. But then what it actually claims, I'm going to say this and see if from what you learned, this is what it is. So one of the core ideas you hear again and again is the idea of frequency, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to ground that a bit because it doesn't have to mean anything mystical. So you've got other podcasts like Law of Attraction, Secrets. They often explain frequency as your emotional baseline. So not what you want, but how regulated or dysregulated you are.
Yeah.
One line that stuck with me, because I've been listening to a few of these, was essentially this idea. You can say your affirmations all day long, but if your nervous system is stuck in stress, fear, or lack, that's the frequency you're actually broadcasting. And when you frame it like that, it actually sounds a lot less woo out there kind of thing, doesn't it? Because it's basically saying how you feel consistently shapes how you think and how you act and what you notice.
Yeah, that is so true. And there's a cracking graph you can come across. I mean, it's like a vibration scale. It's like a cone shape, and it has all the different colours going up the scale. And it starts off, with fear, lack, guilt, and it goes up, and the frequency increases with the more positive descriptions, you could say. And I found that I was never actually in that lower section, but you can understand where people were, low vibe people are those who are like just misery and just suck your life out of you, don't they?
Yeah.
And happiness out of you. And then the higher up the scale you go, you attract more positive people. And it's believed that positivity attracts positivity. I'm sure that's a really old phrase from somewhere. A like attracts a like, I think. Yeah. And you got this scale, and it's quite interesting to see your progression when you actually go through an LOA training session. Yeah, curious.
So there is a lot of people that say it doesn't work, but then you've got podcasts like Manifestation Babe where they actually flip it on their head. So one of the recurring ideas there is that manifestation fails, not because you're doing it wrong, but you're emotionally sort of gripped to the outcome. That's kind of an interesting concept that they talk about, which is basically if you're constantly visualizing something because you don't have it yet, you're actually rehearsing the lack of it.
Yes.
Yeah. And that kind of hits me because it explains wanting something desperately, but sometimes because you're so fixated on it, you push it further away.
Yes.
Another way of saying it is manifestation isn't about positive thinking, it's about removing resistance.
It is. Right. I'm sort of jumping and throw something weird here, right? Because when I was going through my journey, and I actually met a guy called Andy Moore, who's a psychic medium and an art person. Anyway, I was having a chat with him about this, and I said about this course and this training and this what I was thinking about. And he went, "Why are you overthinking it? What you should be doing is being on that river, enjoying the view as you're floating down it." I thought, it's true, isn't it? You're missing all the stuff that's right here and now.
Yes.
Because you're focusing on what's going to happen at the end of your journey, when it should be, enjoy the ride. And that's one thing that does come through with the later editions of Law of Attraction. It is, don't think too far ahead, because you won't get it.
So you think that's why some people sort of start it and then sort of give up because they think, well, this isn't happening for me?
Yes, I think that they're looking so far ahead, they're not getting the results straight away, therefore it doesn't work. I think that was a big problem with Law of Attraction. But no, it's an interest. Some people have some great responses, and you can say, do you know what? I did this, I thought this, I felt this. This is what I was hoping for. This is what I got. Brilliant.
Yeah.
But once you can actually make that fit your own life story anyway. And then other people said, I did this, I wanted this, but I didn't get any of it. And I think once again, it comes back to that. You get what you are looking for, I think.
Okay. So I've heard people say things like, I just want to be happy. So
yes.
That's sort of incredibly vague, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
When your intentions are vague, is your brain sort of filling gaps with your old beliefs and doubts, do you think? Or is it something you've got to sort of, have you got to keep going with the Law of Attraction, basically? Is it kind of reframing the way you think almost daily?
Yes, I think you've got to change your habits, and that's a massive part of it. I think when you start going down the LOA, you give yourself, you have to look in the mirror, and it's a bit uncomfortable about what you see and what you feel, and trying to move away from that person and become something better. And going back to the frequency, by becoming a more positive person, rising your vibrations, you do become a better person anyway. And I think that just feeling better and happier just kind of take you a long way down the LOA road.
That's kind of what we were saying last week, really, wasn't it? About when you're feeling in a good mood, good things seem to happen. And when you're not, when you're feeling down, everything else just seems to go wrong almost.
Yeah. And I talked about like attracts like. I mean, even in paranormal investigations, we say this, don't we? So we're very careful about how our attitudes will be going to an investigation. But I know someone who can think about, oh, this is going to happen, and then that's bound to happen in a negative way. You know, it's bound to rain on this day, that's bound to happen, that's bound to break down. And I swear blind, they can actually manifest negativity in their life.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's that they're looking for the bad to happen, therefore they're seeing the bad. Yeah. But I suppose the same things happen.
Again, it kind of takes us back to what we were saying last week. Is it coincidence or is it synchronicity? Exactly. You know, but sometimes, I mean, I think, I can't remember who said it. It was either my dad or my brother that said, expect the worst, and you can only, you know, and it can only be better. But, you know, plan for the worst kind of thing. But that's not the way I suppose we need to think about it in law of attraction, is it? And just going back to the investigations, like what you were saying, we often find that if you have a group that are very quiet, not getting involved, you will have a session where things don't seem to happen. Whereas if you get a group that are like really enthusiastic, you know, they're chatty, they're laughy, they get all the activity.
And it is so true. I mean, we were both out investigating at the weekend, and I can tell you that at the 3 groups I was with, one had a fantastic night. They were brilliant, getting loads of stuff. The other 2, nothing at all. And it made it really hard work with the actual, the team who were investigating with them. But it's so true. You just got to have that eye-opening experience and just, think outside your skin and bring positivity. And we always thank the guests for bringing positive vibes. Basically, just letting the ones that know that those that didn't bring the positive vibes might not have had such a spectacular evening.
I think you have got to come with an open mind, because, again, it's like converting a skeptic, isn't it? If a skeptic goes on an investigation and they don't want to believe, almost, you often find that things might not happen. It's just weird, isn't it? And then you start questioning, is it our energy that's being picked up, or is it the energy of the paranormal? Again, that's a whole other conversation, isn't it?
Oh, another day. It is quite mind-blowing, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like I say, when you get a skeptic on an event, and it's, if I was put them in charge of the tech or monitoring, and if anything happens, then that's a takeaway for them. It's fantastic. Yeah. But isn't it, just jumping off the conversation a little bit, but wasn't it Leonardo da Vinci? There's some famous quote that says, I paint with my eye first. I imagine it in my head first, and then I paint it. Was that a bit of law of attraction, do you think? Manifestation?
Okay.
I'm going to paint a grumpy bird.
But then does he find a grumpy bird, or does he just paint it from his mind? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I don't know, actually. It was just a quote. I remember it being, thrown around during the training sessions. I thought that's a good point, actually. And if you think about, with this, have we manifested this podcast? Or was it just the fact that we thought 12 months ago, that'd be a good idea, and we kept chatting about it, we kind of creating it, planning it, and then we've kind of like delivering it? Have we manifested it?
It's because of the conversations we were having, and we're like, oh, this would make such a good subject.
Yeah.
But to me, we had to have the intent there anyway.
Yes.
And had we lost that intent, we wouldn't have done it. So I don't know. Yeah. Again, it's there's
one of those famous quotes that says, where the thought goes, the energy flows. Well, that's like
where intention goes, energy flows, isn't it? I think
that means getting your shit together, doesn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember who said it, but yeah, it is a well-known quote, isn't it? So basically then, what we're saying is clarity gives your subconscious something to work with, isn't it? But it's training your subconscious as well, I think, as I say.
Yeah. There was a lot of terminology that LOA is very much, it's a self-help.
Yeah.
It's you go down this route, you learn about these skills, you train your brain, you train your bad habits out of yourself in order to become a better person. So it is self-help. And it's a good thing to do. Everyone should be a bit more positive in their life, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
During lockdown, I'm going to throw this one. During lockdown, I know that TikTok was taking off, and I'm still not into TikTok. But wasn't there the lucky girl syndrome?
Was there?
Lucky girl syndrome?
That.
Really? All right. I mean, I never actually paid it much attention because I didn't really look at it. But it was something like in TikTok in the it must have been around after lockdown, and. With manifestation, you say things, you have your little mantras, you repeat things, and basically you're training your brain to think in a different way. And I'm sure I might be making this up now, but I've heard it from somewhere. That the lucky girl syndrome. Each day you woke up and you went, "Oh, I'm a lucky girl. I'm a lucky girl. I'm a lucky girl," and then later on the day you go, "I'm a lucky girl because I've got this, and I'm a lucky girl because I've got that." And
Oh, okay.
it's
So
just called the
basically
lucky girl.
affirmations, wasn't it? If we're going to give it
Affirmations.
another name. Yeah.
But
I must have
and
missed that one completely.
I think that's where I kind of like ran out of steam after doing my course and all the rest of it. And I was in a different place with my head and all the rest of it. And because I'm not very good at, I wouldn't say being told what to do, but if someone said, "Oh, you've got to, I know, clap your hands 20 times a day," I
Yeah.
wouldn't do it. I'm being told what to do, kind of thing. I think that's why I struggle with religion a little bit. You know, they
Yeah.
tell you they're the rules. You've got to do that, and I struggle with that a little bit. Which kind of comes on to, because you're reading well, we're both reading the magic at the moment, aren't
Magic,
we?
yeah.
Yeah. Now, how are you getting on that? Because that's a lot of repeating,
It
statements and
is.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've done it a few times, or started it a few times, as should I say. And then you get to the part, and if you miss a day, you're meant to start again. And having started again and again, it's like, oh. So this time I'm like, if I miss a day, I'm not going to start again. I'm going to try and get through to the end of it. So I'm seeing if that makes any difference. But yeah, I have noticed a shift in the way I think when I'm doing it.
Okay, go on. Keep going.
It's just quite. I think you are practicing gratitude more. And I think if
Yeah.
you do it first thing in the morning, again, like going back to your lucky girl thing, um, it kind of sets your day up to focus on the little things that we are grateful for. And then I think the idea is that more things come your way. So,
Yes.
I mean, I started it on the 1st of January. Then what happened? We started this podcast. We went to London. Um, I've been out on my own a couple of times. Yeah, so I feel like it's making some difference.
Yes. Because you told me that lovely story about the money, didn't you? The
Oh,
job.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
trying to manifest money to try and cover what I'd spent on going out. Um, and it's not actually happened as such. Although I did get the telly, didn't I?
You did get the
Yes,
telly.
yes, that was it. So I wanted to try and manifest £80 basically back into my account that I'd spent on the tickets to Fleetwood Mac tribute
Yeah.
and going out because I went out, took the dog and went for what was it, Burns night food.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, well, if I can just get that money back, it's just starting small-ish, and see how it goes. And it was a Sunday, so obviously nothing's going to go into your bank generally on a Sunday. Um, then a couple of days later, I got called to see if I would work on a job. Short
Mhm.
notice, 2 days later. I was like, yeah, fine. I thought, well, that's income I wasn't expecting. Is that it?
Yeah.
And it was at a Lidl. We were doing a promo at a Lidl. And we had to get at 7 o'clock in the morning before it all opened. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to have a look in the middle aisle. And I saw this telly and I was like, £99 for a 43-inch. And I was like, if there's some left, I'm going to get that. And of course, within the first 10 minutes, they were flying off the shelves. And I just
Yeah.
basically went to the manager, can I buy one of those? And they were like, yeah, put one to one side for you. And I was like, so that was half price. So had I paid full price, yeah, I would have got my money. Do you know what I mean? That difference was over the £80, plus I got paid for working. So did I manifest that?
Okay. Now I'm going to make you laugh because
Oh,
technically you manifested it, but then you lost it straight away because then I said, "Can you settle? Can you give me
oh,
your money for your train ticket?" Which was £80.
yes. Isn't that
So
weird?
it's
It's
like,
the same figure. Yeah. Oh, synchronicity,
yeah,
coincidence.
brilliant.
So, going back to what you learned then. So, classic law of attraction versus modern mindset. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
classic law of attraction is very thought focused. Visualize it, affirm it, believe it. But the more modern interpretation brings in things like trauma, nervous system regulation, and behavior. And when you sort of listen to sort of multiple podcasts, you start to hear this sort of bridge forming that manifestation isn't, as we say, magic, it's alignment, isn't it? So, um, there's another line I keep coming back to, where it's often the moment your inner world and behaviour align. So,
Yeah.
because if your beliefs change but your actions don't, the results usually don't either.
Mm-hmm. You've got to change from within. It's a big ask. It's changing those behaviours, being more aware. I'd say to hold a mirror up to what you look like inside, and that's a
Yeah,
horrible part of LOA, but it's a good starting point. So yes, alignment of where you are and where you need to be. Yeah, because I know at one point it's very much a spiritual process, but now I think it's more of a psychological.
yeah,
You know, it needs to move on. Then yes, it has to come from within. And you know this. Sometimes it's got to be painful enough in your life in order to make changes. I think
yeah,
that's where LOA is just kind of a nice structured process to go through to make things, will give you a bit of direction.
yeah. It makes you think about things differently, doesn't it? I think certainly.
And not
Consequences
so,
is important.
yeah, not so selfishly. Because I also put the training, they go through this thing about what is actually important to you. And money might be an important thing with people, but if you had no friends, no family, you might have a big house, but you've got no one to share it with, no one to experience it with. And all of a sudden, it makes you realise that the most important thing is actually your family, friendships, that circle around you, so you can enjoy your life and what you experience. It doesn't start with, if I've got in a room full of pound notes, you can't do
Mm.
anything with it. You know, if you're stuck in a cave somewhere surrounded by pound notes, it doesn't bring any joy, does it? You might be
No,
able to fire out of
buy
it and get.
friends, but they wouldn't be real friends,
Yeah, exactly,
isn't it?
exactly.
Yeah,
So it's a matter of it's what do you actually want to get out of your life? And being miserable, I'm sure, isn't one of them. And celebrating and being with people, I think, is the way forward. It's a starting
but
point.
don't they also say to become this person you want to be, you have to already act like that person?
Yeah, absolutely. You've got it is one of those tricky things because some people would say you've got to be in the moment, but
Yeah,
then you've got to be in the moment of how is if you're a grumpy person and depressed, how do you get from that grumpy depressed person into the moment of being a positive person? So you're actually planning the future, but it
yeah,
gets really, really complicated. But what you don't do is you plan too far in the future because you've got to be living now. It goes back to that me being on a river, I should be enjoying the view going down the river, not looking at the what's at the end of the river kind of thing. It got very, very complicated trying to explain it to people to be
yeah.
present.
But again, it goes back to the magic and practicing that small bit of gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for my feet. Thank you for my legs. Thank you. You have to go through all that, see what you have got, and concentrate on what you have rather than lack. I
Yeah,
think. And
yeah.
and
And I'm going to add into that one because I mean, many, many years ago, I was paralysed from the waist down, and I'll be in the hospital bed, can't be able to walk, not be able to walk, and I've got my high heel shoes on, thinking I'm never going to walk in these again. And I started to have a conversation with my legs,
yeah,
saying, "Hey, we'll get there, we'll get back there. You're still looking good at this from this angle, And through all the pain when my legs were starting to work again, and each day I say, "Well done, guys. Got a bit further today."
yeah,
And even now, I have a conversation with my legs, and
yeah.
whether that's just whether is that mind over matter, mind over body. There's an interesting thought. Or was I manifesting?
I think it's positivity as well, though, isn't it? And never
Yeah.
giving up. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I suppose. I mean, had you sort of laid down, and thought, "Oh, it's not going to work again,"
Yeah, yeah.
that would
But
have
that
probably
was
made a difference
option.
in
Yeah,
your recovery.
yeah. Well, actually, I'm going to add to that because I could have just laid there and done bugger all.
Mm.
But I was, in a way, this is going to sound so bad now. It was fear that made me take action.
Yeah,
I wasn't going to be the one who was going to stay in the bed. I was going to drag myself out by hook or by crook, and my legs were going to work. And come on, guys, it's the team effort. Let's go forward, And I'm walking around. I'm doing absolutely fine now.
that must have
So
been terrifying. Well, I mean,
yeah,
we'll talk about this another week, perhaps.
yeah,
If
yeah.
it's something we
But
can.
we'll be in these dark places, haven't we? But
Um,
I think mind over matter, and
But it does kind of lead me on to another bit that I wanted to talk about, where law of attraction can become problematic, so to speak. And I think it's important to talk about where law of attraction can become harmful, because some versions slip into toxic positivity, an idea that if something bad happens, you must have attracted it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where I personally start to step back a little bit. Belief systems should support people, not blame them for things that are outside of their control. Um, because I mean, it's like looking like that happened to you. I had cancer. Are we therefore saying that we brought it on ourselves? You know, was our thinking bringing negativity into our lives? Surely not.
Yeah. No. It's
Hopefully
going
not. I don't know.
it's getting a bit dumbfounding, isn't it? Because you're just
Mm.
thinking of all the bad thoughts that I've ever had about people. Some were truly deserved. But has that brought badness? I was going to, right, okay. Many years ago, I thought that if I actually donated a kidney or a lung or a bit of my body when I died, it would mean I'd come back as someone without that part in my body in my next life. So I completely believed in reincarnation, but I thought I'd be the person with the heart problem or the kidney problem and all the rest of it.
Yeah, you hear of that, don't you? People
So
with
I'm thinking, is that the kind of, where does this nonsense come from inside your head? Or then would I come back as a saint for actually donating part of my body in this life? And there comes a point you've got to say, stop being stupid, everyone. You're in your space, you're a spiritual being in your spacesuit on this earth, having a nice time, enjoying it. Come on, this is the chapter. This is the earth chapter of your life. Let's just crack on and do the best job you can.
Yeah. So maybe kind of the evolution of law of attraction then isn't about controlling reality, but about responding to it differently.
Oh, like that. Yes, I would definitely agree with that.
Mm.
Like I say, because our perceptions of LOX, I'm sure it came about, I'm sure it wasn't a religious, not a religious, wasn't it a scientific thought process back in the 19th century or something? And it goes back quite a way. It was a thought belief which then got developed and developed and developed. And then it went from thinking positive thoughts to LOA to now it's manifestation is the keyword. So it seems to have evolved over a period of time. And now I question it into actually we just need to be a bit more savvy with our lives.
It is all the power of the mind, though, isn't it, as well? It comes back to that. I remember when I, many years ago, after I'd had a car accident, I just became very stressed about things. And I used to listen to a lot of Paul McKenna stuff in that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the self-hypnosis stuff. And one of the things he used to say, and this going back to the 90s, was nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Because things are bad, aren't they? But I suppose it's how...
That's perplexing in a very curious statement. Yes.
And it'd be like our bodies are obviously fight or flight. We've got this from the cavemen days that, we didn't have the luxuries of today. So we were constantly in fight or flight mode. And if he's nervous, he used to say, I can feel myself shaking, but I choose to call it excitement.
Oh, that's rather clever, isn't it?
But if I'm nervous at the hospital, I'm certainly not excited about it. But maybe I'm meant to reframe it as thinking, oh, this is when I'm going to get positive news.
Yeah.
The result's going to be fine. It's all good. I'm excited. I don't know. But I think if you do want to practice law of attraction, and you're probably the best person to sort of teach this, they say start with something small, like a cup of coffee. Manifest or believe that today somebody is going to get you a cup of coffee and start from there. And if that happens, then work on something bigger.
Oh, now I'm going to throw this one back a little bit because that's you relying on someone else to do something for you. Whereas LOA needs to come from within. Therefore, what it should be, what can you do for someone first? And then that attracts there needs to be a starting point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that I don't explain that very well, but
No, I get what you mean. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to come from within, that goodwill. Do you like giving Christmas presents or receiving Christmas presents?
I like giving, I think.
I like you get more
Yeah.
satisfaction. Yeah,
I
and
like
that's that.
it's sorted what I'm giving first. You know, if somebody says,
Yes,
"What do you want for Christmas?" I'll be like, "I don't know. I need to think
yeah,
about what I'm
yes,
getting somebody else first, and then I'll
exactly.
think about that."
And then when you're looking for certain people, you get quite excited about, finding that right gift, the right person who's going to
Yeah.
be pertinent and all the rest of it. And you get a real buzz out of it, doesn't it? And that's the whole feeling of law of attraction, because you want to give this satisfaction and it's meaningful kind of thing. And then sometimes you get given a present, you're going, oh God.
I put all that thought into it.
Yeah, and then you get this back, and then, but it brings you back down again, doesn't it? So just see,
Yeah.
it's flow of energy, isn't it? So really it needs to come from within to, in order to create the ripples around you, kind of thing. That's my training that I can remember.
Cool.
A ripple.
Well, I think we've kind of really just touched on the surface of it, but conscious of time again. So next week then we're going to be talking about
Valentine's.
Valentine,
Like
but
Valentine.
not
Is
in a
it good? Is it
straightforward way.
bad?
I think that the title I suggested to you was "Why Valentine's Day Messes with Our Heads."
Yes. I think that's going to be a very interesting one to go down.
Yeah, we're not going to be all hearts and flowers and pink.
No, it's going to be more Valentine massacre than Valentine, isn't it? Yes, yeah. And obviously women look at it a different way than men look at it. That's going to be quite interesting.
Yeah.
Going to be a few successful things have happened, some bad things have happened. We can just play Clinton's cards for absolutely everything, can't we? And Thornton's job.
Hallmark.
Well,
Yeah.
on Hallmark. There we are. An interesting one, very much so.
So to wind this up then, maybe law of attraction isn't about attracting something new. Maybe it's about noticing what you're blocking already.
Correct.
Yeah. And we're really curious to know what you think as a listener. Has law of attraction worked for you? Has it evolved into something else? Or did it never resonate at all? Ooh. As always, this podcast isn't about answers. It's about asking better questions.
Correct.
So you've been listening to A Small World. Thank you for being here. And remember, sometimes the world is smaller and stranger than we think.
And it's rather mind-blowing.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.